on here. Ready?
Ready.
Let me kick it off.
Am I doing the you're going to do the welcome. Am I going to talk about what the show's about? Or are you going to do that and turn it over to me for the intro?
No,
Sorry.
I'll let you do all of that.
Okay.
I'll start us off, and then Ryan.
I'm in control.
Joe, and then...
Oh, I'm going second?
Or Ryan.
And I'm JoJo. That's how I was. And I'm JoJo.
And then I'll say today's episode is Whiskey and Hospitality.
Hospitality. I like it.
Wait, what do I say?
You're going to read I'll introduce the episode title and then let you go from there.
You're going to tell us what the objective is.
All right. Got it? Yep.
You got this,
and
buddy.
If we screw up, we start over like we have the last 3 times.
Welcome to our world.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Welcome to It Starts With Whiskey. I'm Ryan.
I'm Thee.
And I'm JoJo.
And today we are going to take you on a little tour with Whiskey and Hospitality, a conversation with Russ.
Welcome, everybody. Today's objective for our episode is going to be to explore the art of hospitality. We have Russ Cronberg, Director of Hospitality for the University of Virginia Foundation. We're going to be uncovering his journey in the industry, some insights he may have on creating unforgettable guest experiences, and how leadership and innovation shape the world of luxury hospitality.
Great. How's it going, Russ? Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk a little bit about a passion of mine, hospitality, and a passion of your all's, whiskey, and how they come together. Pretty exciting.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Really appreciate it.
So before we get into our conversation, we'll kick it off with our first tasting.
All right. Sounds good.
Yummy.
Well, before we get to the tasting, I did mess up the intro a little bit. I do want to let everybody know that Russ is not only a killer in the industry that he's in, but he's also my little brother. So shout out to getting our first family member on here besides Ryan's wife, Eve. So super happy to have you on here. You're an awesome leader. I'm happy to have you here, Russ.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's, I guess, most people probably caught the Cronberg thing, hopefully, and put the 2 and 2 together, but good explanation.
It could happen. Yeah, that's right.
So what are we doing for our first pour today?
All right. So our first pour, we decided to get into some of Russ's coffers because Russ is located in Virginia. Obviously, you could tell by where he works. And so we wanted to do a tasting with him. And so Russ has Stranahan's malt whiskey that he offered to sample with us. So that is what we are trying today. And Stranahan's is out of Denver, Colorado. And I think, Ryan, you went on a tour of Stranahan's?
Yeah. I've been there a few times. We've done a tour, and Eve and I were there last time. We were in Denver and stopped and picked up a couple of bottles of their special releases.
Yep.
So it's one of my favorite single malt locations. I can tell already, like the smell.
Smell
caramel and straw.
Yeah. As soon as I turned it sideways, and I'm like, I can smell the caramel.
I was going to say, I smelled something earthy. I like straw. That's a good.
I almost smell like apple, like an apple something. I don't know. Maybe I'm not.
See, we were talking about this with our last guest, with Kristen, and she said, I don't smell it until you guys mentioned like chocolate or apples or something, and she's like, now I got it.
It's true. And Russ might be aware of this, but we like to talk before we read the official website, just kind of poke fun at the words they use and whether we agree or not.
This one is very sweet.
Mm-hmm. Is that?
Yeah. Getting a lot of caramel and almost like a sugary.
Yeah, it's really, I love it. It's really good.
Oh, it's super smooth. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah,
it is.
It is super smooth.
No stank face, Joe. No
Hey,
stank.
No, that's good.
She hasn't even added a cube.
No, I just did.
She did.
I wanted to see how the difference is. It's not because I don't like it. It's sometimes when I add a cube, I actually don't like it.
Yeah.
So, but I want to see the difference.
So just a couple of notes off of their website. Burnt amber color, obviously. Caramel, butterscotch, vanilla, maple syrup, and leather on the nose, which I get some of those.
Yep, I have got the caramel.
On the palate, we've got cinnamon butter, vanilla, chocolate, warm caramel, and spiced pear. So maybe that pear is like the apple kind of fruity
maybe
note.
That's what I was getting, some kind of fruit.
Well, that one was good.
It was good.
And then on the finish, light fruitiness and strong oak presence with rich tobacco and aged leather. I didn't get the tobacco or leather on that.
No.
Don't put a cube in it, Russ. It ruins it. In my opinion.
He's already got cubes in it.
I started with the cube.
Oh, Russ. Naughty. No, it's actually really good.
Russ, we're so bougie. We try things like 1 cube, or now we've got this little water dropper. So you can just I'm sure you've heard of that, right?
Well, because of you guys, I've actually learned a tremendous amount listening to your podcast, as has my son, who has no business trying whiskey. But
love it.
He has listened to almost all of the episodes as
That's
well.
Fantastic.
So I'm going to tell a quick story before we jump in to Russ. But Friday night I went over to Butcher's Union for dinner. And as I was getting ready to leave, I had my phone upside down, and a guy walked in and was waiting on my seat. You know, they play the hover game at the corner of the bar. And then I had already told you guys this, but I'll tell the listeners. And one of the guy that was waiting on my seat asked me, he saw the podcast sticker and let me know that his best friend out of South Carolina, I think Charlie, he's like, this is one of his favorite podcasts. He just got into whiskey and loves listening to you guys. So that's my second celebrity
so cool.
moment.
I love it.
That's awesome.
So shout out to Charlie in South Carolina, I think.
Yeah,
North Carolina.
we might have 20 subscribers now.
Okay. Anyways, that was my sidetrack for a minute. So
that's awesome.
That's fantastic. Hey, Russ, how about starting out telling us a little bit about like your journey and your career and all the experiences you've had in over like 20 years in hospitality?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, and you probably you know this, but, I think I knew really early that I wanted to be in hospitality. I just had this like servant mindset of trying to help people just have a great time, right? And whatever it was that they were doing. And a lot of it centered around food and beverage or obviously hotels. And I think it goes back to actually high school. I can vividly remember the day my senior year, my baseball coach was asking everybody, he's like, all right, what are you guys going to do after you guys graduate, in 2 months or whatever, because we have spring ball there. And everybody was given the typical answers, right? Like, I'm going to play professional sports, or I'm going to be a lawyer, or I'm going to be a doctor, or, all that stuff, which none of them, I'm pretty sure, did any of that. But I remember going, I'm going to run a resort. And like, everybody like looked at me and they're like, what the hell is that? Like, what does that mean? And my coach was like, that's awesome. Like helping people have fun and create memories. Right. And I was like, yeah, exactly, coach. I didn't know that. I just thought it was fun. Right. And it all really stemmed from the one time that we ever got on a plane as kids, and Tina knows this, and we went to Disney.
Yeah, we did.
Right. And I just remember how I felt as a 10-year-old kid in that moment with all the people that we interacted with. And I was like, oh man, I want to do that for people, right? Like, I want people to do whatever it is that I'm doing or I'm a part of, and I want them to have that like emotional tie feel. And so, went right into college at Grand Valley State and went right into hospitality. Worked at my first hotel, which was the Country Inn and Suites in Grand Rapids, right out by, I guess it's the airport.
Yep.
Stayed there.
And it was a 63 little room hotel that we did everything. You're the front desk, the janitor, the housekeeper, the person that made the cookies, and the person that put out breakfast, and learned an immense amount. And actually, that's where I met Lindsay, my wife. She trained me at my first hotel. She would tell you she's still training me today.
I love it.
But
I might agree.
It's okay, Russ. It's okay.
We're all a work in progress, right? And so, yeah, went from there. I worked at the Quality Inn and Suites just down 28th Street a little bit further, and then finished at the Courtyard right downtown,
Nice.
which was an awesome property with a mixed residential, right in the heart of GR, connected to everything. And then graduated and moved to Charleston. And so South Carolina, whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Shout out to our new follower there. And worked at my first actual resort, not just a hotel, at Wild Dunes in Charleston. And that's kind of really where my career took off. My mentor, great friend of mine, TJ Pieri, took a chance on me. And this was back pre-FaceTime, all that stuff, right? And we just had a 3-hour interview phone call. And I sent him a real like photo in the mail of me, so he knew that I was like a real person.
Oh my God, we're so old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, right? To think
You're
about
even
it
old.
back then,
What the
like
heck is
early
going on?
2000s.
He is old.
He hired me, and then we moved and took off from there, right? And so then South Carolina, we moved to the Florida Keys. Worked for Hilton down there for a couple of years, and then got a call from a recruiter to run a really large resort in Georgia. That's where we moved to Callaway Gardens, just south of Atlanta, and ran a 3,000 plus acre resort there, which was an amazing experience. I was really young, had no business doing that, with 1,000 employees and multiple hotels and villas and cottages and multiple golf courses and all of that, right? Was really wild. But I think, I always look back at that and I go, man, how did I make it through some of these things? And I think it's just all about, your hard work and what's instilled into you by our parents, right? And I'm super blessed from mom and dad. Some days I don't agree with them on many things, but I always look
Fair
back
enough.
and I love them for making me who I am, or at least getting me to a certain point, right? And then I took it from there, and so yeah. And then some things were kind of up in the air at Callaway, and I got a call from a recruiter again about my current location here in Charlottesville to come run Boar's Head Resort. And no, we're not affiliated with the meat company.
You read
Right.
my mind.
There
I
you
was
go.
just getting ready to ask.
Yeah.
He probably has to say that a lot.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so no meat company, but we do use their meats. They're really good. I mean, right? So, but yeah, so I was there running the entire operation through multiple renovations and expansions for the last. Well, I've been here for, I guess, almost 9 years now, and almost 7 of it was in that role, running the resort. In the last 2 years, I've been in my new role as the director of hospitality, which is overseeing Boar's Head, the resort still, as well as we're developing and building a new hotel, right at the heart of campus, or grounds, as they call it here in Charlottesville.
Wow.
Very
Wow.
cool.
Yeah. He's been around. I remember Russ's initial jobs, South Carolina, then to Florida, then to Georgia, and I'm like, I'm a little bit of still having that old school, what happened to staying with a company and loyalty? And this is before I really dove in and started to understand the changing landscape of people and careers and, what people are doing to grow and be challenged. And, every time Russ moved and starting when he moved to South Carolina, he took his family with him. It started with Lindsay, and then they built with their son, Michael, and then they built with their daughter, Katie. And, so it wasn't easy for Russ to switch these jobs, but every single time you heard him talk about how much he grew and how much he was challenged, and even at times was too young for what he was doing. So I'm super proud of Russ, and I know he gave credit to my parents, but I own some of it too. I used to whoop them into shape when we were kids.
Well, I'm, as a person who knew you as a youngster, I'm super impressed with everything you've done, where you're at, the man that you've become. I'm looking at you. I'm like, oh, I still remember the young teenager. So, good for you, buddy. Good for
Sneaking
you.
them into the
Thank
bar.
you.
Yep.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, we did sneak
Remember
you.
those times?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Corky the drag queen let my brother in
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
too early.
Well, it was because he was cutie pants.
Oh, yeah. I had to keep an eye on him at that bar.
I know.
Yeah, I can kind of relate to your original comment. Going through college and stuff for me, I used to DJ, and it was the same thing. It's like I don't dance, but that was my way of kind of entertaining people. I loved seeing people enjoying themselves, having a great time. Unfortunately, that doesn't pay the bills, so then I got back in and stayed with engineering. But this is kind of my way back into that. Mm-hmm. I'm not DJing anymore, but this plays into it.
Yeah,
So.
you're kind of DJing us, I'd say.
You are.
So Russ, let's talk about Boar's Head a little bit. What do you see at Boar's Head? Like, what kind of things are you guys doing, like beverage wise, entertainment wise? Like, what kind of things are you doing to make that experience, like you said, really special for your guests?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So last night, actually, Lindsay and I went to the Mill Room. The Mill Room's our kind of flagship restaurant for right now. We're building another one within our Birdwood Mansion. That's another story. But the Mill Room's been around since the inception. It's really cool. It's got some, gosh, I don't know, those things are almost like 12 by 12 beams that go back to a grist mill from the 1700s,
Cool.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
Runs right through it. It's just super, super cool atmosphere. But we were there last night, and we had a guest chef in from Italy. My current general manager, Gigi Vega, has brought in a couple of really cool people that she's worked with that are just stellar chefs. And so we're doing it's called Taste of Tuscany. It's our Epicurean series that we're running at the resort right now. And he's here for 2 weeks from Montepulciano.
Nice.
And he's running a special menu, and we've got special cocktails. Like they did a really cool Negroni, and then they did, they did something with Prosecco for like a lighter drink, and then we had his tasting menu, which was incredible. And so we're doing stuff like that where we're bringing in outside chefs. I think beverage trends, I think we are really trying to continue to look at craft, locally sourced items. Like I think there's also this really interesting demand for low ABV and zero proof type drinks.
Yeah, I could have used that last month.
Cup of tea, but it's certainly I think it's part of it is because of the health conscious,
Correct.
driven world we're living in right now, right? Ozempic and all the other things, and so people are like, oh, I need 0 calorie, I need zero this, and there's this interesting kind of trend that we're watching, and we haven't quite jumped into it yet. I think I'm going to get it right. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but adaptogenic cocktails. I think that's right.
What's that?
Adaptogenic.
It's like it's plants. Like there's this fungus that's in from some plants that like help your bodies adapt to the stresses like going on in your lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's supposed to help calm you down. There's antioxidants.
Interesting.
It's like, I think it's like off of mushroom, not those kind of mushrooms.
I get you. No, it is. It is.
Sign me up, baby.
I've heard it. I've heard about it. Yep.
Have you heard of it, Joe?
Yeah.
It's, and so then they're teaming those with like botanical infused drinks, and they're really taking some spins on some really interesting cocktails. And so, our beverage team and our food and beverage team at the resort is trying to keep their hand on, hand on the source of all these different changes that are happening.
Now, are you open?
I'm
sorry. Are you open to the public as well? Like out, so if we came to your area and wanted to eat there or have dinner, you don't have to be a guest to partake, right?
Right. Yeah. So we're an interesting hybrid, the resort. And so we have overnight guests, right, in groups in the typical hotel type atmosphere. We're also a giant club. We have private facilities within our resort that are only for our club or resort guests. So public can't necessarily come to those. And then we have our restaurants, which are open to the public. And the Mill Room has been a staple in Charlottesville for a super long time. We have a lot of regulars. We're surrounded by 5 different residential communities. And so tons of, I'd say probably 50% of our business comes from the local community as well.
That's fantastic. You better watch out because Ryan and I, we travel for work, so it's not any skin off our back to switch our flights and fly in there. I used to fly into Charlottesville. It's an interesting fly-in with the mountains or the.
It's super cool.
It is super cool, but man, if it is storming, whew, it's not fun. It is not fun. So offline, I'll tell you a story. But yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love visiting Russ in Charlottesville. I visited him in quite a few of his. I think Florida was the only place I didn't make it to visit you when you worked in Key Largo. But Charlottesville has this really awesome atmosphere. I think it's, it has to do with the UVA. It also has to do with the historic, perspective. I mean, Montpelier, is that it? And like
Monticello and
Monticello, yeah.
Montpelier, yep.
The Blue Ridge Mountains, like I'm telling you, Russ is like the best host ever because he's always got something going on, something to check out. Last time we were there, we checked out this awesome distillery, and Russ, the name of it is slipping my mind, but the one where they do the animals, like they have the cattle and the mash.
Ragged Branch.
Yeah, Ragged Branch. So, tell us about Ragged Branch, real quick.
Yeah, so it's probably 5 miles down the road from our house, not too far. And they started probably maybe 10 years ago. And and you're going to have to help me fill in because my memories, I barely remember what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad. And they raise their own cattle and they use the mash from I think you use the mash and they feed the cattle, right? And with the mash.
Yeah, from the whiskey.
That's cool.
And then they sell the beef like through steaks or hamburgers, and it's incredible.
Yeah,
the beef is so good.
Such a cool concept. And,
it is,
and the place is so cool. Like Russ is like, we're going on a picnic to a distillery, and I'm like, what are you talking about? So we packed up our own basket of food, went in there, ordered drinks because they don't do food there, and then you go out on their back porch seating area and you look at the Blue Ridge Mountains behind everything. And anyway, so I think sustainability in the world of whiskey is really interesting. We're going to kind of probably touch on that in a little bit here, but
yeah,
what are some of the challenges that you've kind of faced in the course of your career as far as hospitality goes? Like food and beverage challenges. Sounds like you guys just get to kind of explore things. Are there any challenges you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest challenge is always balancing guest expectations with operational efficiencies, right? And or operational issues, staffing, right? You guys, I think you talked about it at one of your episodes, maybe, or but I think the biggest thing that we struggle with time to time is we really want to personalize almost every experience, every F&B person that comes in to experience the Mill Room or comes to check in. And how do you do that with authenticity? Well, for us, that means more labor, more logistics, which can be costly, but we have budgets to hit, right? And so we can't just spend unwildly. So trying to find that balance between the two, right? And we're an interesting property. We don't cater to a REIT, right? Or a real estate investment trust or investors or some guy, or we don't really actually, report to the university directly. So the money that we make and our resort makes, we typically re-spend every dollar and then some right back in the property, whether it's through capital investment or through giving our team members bonuses or raises or whatever, right? So it's kind of the eat what you kill mentality, and so we have to balance our desire to be the very best with that, hey, we can't just spend on wildly because we don't make, I know, Joe, you've joked around that our rates are high, but they're not as high as they could be, as or some other 5-star resorts charging $800,000 a night. I mean, yes, 400 or 500 depending is a lot, but we put a lot into that, and so that's the biggest challenge, right? And then I think continuing to source high quality local ingredients, is, and consistently year round, even though we're in a really interesting climate where we have a lot of year round availability. I think that is something that our food and beverage team can kind of consistently is trying to figure out and balance.
And I can imagine with food prices increasing the last couple of years, it's even a bigger challenge trying to keep the quality up, keep the prices at a, relatively affordable rate. Yeah, that's definitely seems like that would be a challenge.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, and in the staffing, I know that's just we struggle with that as well. So I'm sure that you have the same struggle. So I get it. That's wow.
How many employees does the
resort employs about 400 plus minus total people? I think full time is probably about half that, 200, and then the rest are anywhere from part time to seasonal, all the way down to a yoga instructor that teaches 3 1-hour classes a week. That kind of stuff. So
that's cool. That's cool. Is it time for a reach around? Because I feel like we should do a reach around.
You want to?
I do.
Joe's glass must be empty.
It is empty. I am. It's empty, Russ.
Hey, everyone. It's time for a reach around.
There you go, Joe.
Thank you, buddy.
And I found the right button the first time.
I
Look
love
at that.
I love it.
I had to put a cheat sheet here.
I love that.
Awesome.
Hey, Russ.
All right, well, let's get this handed out.
And this is yours, Russ. So I'm super duper excited.
Yeah.
Oh.
I cannot even wait. I can't wait to hear everything you're going to tell us all about this.
So I'm actually going to let Russ share a little bit about this in a second, but I do want to tell our listeners we are enjoying a Maker's Mark private selection, and this is a Boar's Head Resort Ridge Reserve. And,
Yeah.
Russ shared this with us, and I just think it fits really well with the conversation today. Russ, just to back you up in case you struggle with some of these things, I do have some information about the Maker's Mark private selection from their website that I can kind of support. But tell us a little bit about how this Maker's Mark and Boar's Head kind of came to be.
Yeah, so our food and beverage director, Joe Scala, is amazing. He spent almost 10 years in New York working at many of the Michelin star restaurants there. And he now runs our entire F&B program. He and our director of special events, Kevin Thurman, went to Maker's Mark and met with their I guess it's their not their private distiller. They met with their lead blender, I guess, Beth Buckner, and their team there, and they invited me. Just timing wasn't right. Really sad. That would have been really cool.
It would have been.
But they went into it really with this idea that they wanted to create something that was inspired through the Virginia culinary scene or our culinary traditions, right? So they said ham, peanuts, interesting stuff that you would be like, oh, how would you put that into a bourbon, right?
It's probably AI.
Wine, honey. We have honey here. We have honeybees. You talk about sustainability, right? We have our own hives So they went into all of that and then worked with Beth and their team there. And I think it was really cool. And they that really ends up giving us a kind of concise, relatable story for the bourbon that you're drinking. Ridges is technically it's our putting course, but it's also when you're sitting out at Birdwood and you look into the distance, you can kind of see these really cool ridges of the mountain and the landscape, right? And that's kind of how it's all tied. It's called Ridges Reserve. And so, I think we're really pleased with how the bourbon turned out. I mean, I think it aligns with the intended vision. It's truly unique. And I think it's only been here for about a month, I think. And so it's interesting to hear the feedback quickly. I mean, we've been burning through bottles pretty fast.
I bet.
And bourbon collectors are really intrigued. I mean, when they come in, because it's something that you just can't get anywhere, right? The
One-time
profile
batch
that's put together,
yeah.
right? Like you can get interesting stuff everywhere, but it's kind of a one of a kind. And so, and like people are asking to take the bottles once we kill them at the bar,
Yep.
and it's like, oh, sorry, we got stupid laws here in Virginia that we can't give you this bottle, so don't splash that thing all over the place.
We definitely have a collection at Ryan's house that's don't bring out during a party. This is a little bit. I mean, we invested in a bottle that I don't think we've touched again since the first time we tried it. So it's like having those special. And I see in the bottle, Russ, we'll have another sampling for it later. So
yes, we will.
This is really tasty. What do you guys think about this one?
No, I like it.
I'm getting on the palate a lot of floral. Like
I did too.
Yeah, it's really good, Ross.
It's one of the first ones where like on the nose, like I'm actually getting like all of the things that you're talking about. Like I got sweetness, which might be honey. I got like a floral. This is like.
Do you get the nuttiness from it? Like, is anybody getting that?
Like on the smell, on the nose,
or the taste? I kind of get it. I get a little bit of it on both.
What kind of nuts in the Virginia? Did you say peanuts?
Peanuts.
Okay.
Peanuts are big.
They are.
Yeah. Ryan's opening it up with a drop.
Yeah, I put a dropper in there.
It does have a little bit of a bite to it.
It does have a
bite.
Oh
yeah.
What's the proof? Do you know?
I
don't have the bottle.
I can't see that far. Ryan's grabbing 111.
Oh yeah, baby, that's the bite.
Yeah, but I feel the bite after, right when you sip.
Yeah.
Yep. I like it.
But it's good.
I understand why people want this.
I think it's got this interesting like. I get the bite, like I have all the taste, and then I get the bite, and then it's like this smooth texture on my tongue. I don't know. It's interesting.
You know what you did? You get more bite. If you didn't put a cube in it, you'd go, holy moly, it's a bite. But you put a cube in it, it's freaking awesome. Freaking awesome.
You put the cube in it?
I see it as cubes. If you tried it just a pour, you'd be like, okay, I get where they're talking. It's got the bite. But the cube, opens it up. It's amazing.
Calms it down a lot.
Yeah, but it brings stuff out. So it's great.
I was going to read off these stave profiles, but I can't pronounce half of the...
Fair enough, buddy.
Ryan's looking at the bottle. I think it's really cool that these distilleries are doing these things. Like, from Maker's Mark, like there's kind of this overview of what their private selection is. And it says it's a first-of-a-kind barrel program, allows your retail or restaurant partners, in your case, it's Boar's Head, to purchase a barrel or maybe more, depending on how you got into it, and explore your own taste versions of Maker's Mark. So like much of like what he talked about, like the things that Boar's Head thinks is important to allow the guests to experience is coming through in the whiskey, and therefore it kind of gives that conversational piece for those that are sitting at the mill. What is it called again, Russ? Mill room. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I had said this before. My friend Jason in Chicago is in the music industry, but he also is a big bourbon guy, cigar guy, and he did a hotel pick, and I know they took him down to Maker's Mark, and I guess that experience is unbelievable because they pair it with the food, and you're sitting there, the scenery when you're doing the tasting and mixing and blending is all like overlooking the farm, like out, and it sounds like it was quite the experience that I would love. I told him, I was like, we want to go next time you get an invite, because they can do up to 12 people, I think. And there were only 3 of them that went included in that. So hopefully we get an invite, Jason. Just throwing that out there.
Or Russ, if you guys are heading down to Boar's Head and want to.
Once we crush through this batch, I think we have to redo it. But I think my GM said the next custom one we're doing is a custom tequila. So we have to go to Mexico.
Hey, Russ, I'm game. I will help you. I was at a bar the other day, and I was drinking tequila. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So yeah, just call me up. I'm free. I promise.
Sounds good.
This is a really good one. Thanks for sharing it with us.
100%. Thank you.
Love how it ties back there. So Boar's Head not only has its own whiskey, you guys also have done other like beverage offerings as well, right? Craft beer, I think I remember trying of yours, and anything else?
We have. Yeah, no, we have our own signature wine. We have our own beer, and then now the bourbon. And so, I think our wine is through a local winery called Barbersville. And I think it's really cool. The Charlottesville region of wineries just won wine region of the year for the entire worldwide.
Wow.
Wow. That's
wine
big.
Enthusiast. So if anybody's into wine and they know Wine Enthusiast is the legit kind of magazine and reporter of wines, we won wine region of the world, which was incredible for all the hard work that our local wineries do. And Barbersville is consistently at the top of that. And so we've got our own Boar's Head Chardonnay and Boar's Head Cab through them, which is really cool. And then, the beer is awesome. That was my doing, which is pretty exciting.
My doing.
Cool story about that. I mean, that was pretty fun. That was like, gosh, I don't know. I was 2 years in, so that probably was almost 6 years ago. I met one of the co-owners, Scott Roth, and we started talking about this thing, and then we went and met with his head brewer, Dave, and we sat in their brewery, and just with me, my food and beverage director, and our executive chef at the time, and we were and the Dave's like, oh, what kind of flavors you thinking? Strength. We're just throwing out ideas, and then they start bringing random beers in pitchers, like small pitchers, and then they're like, oh, so he just starts dumping a little bit into these different glasses, like, and mixing different profiles, and that's how he did it. And we're just like, and he's like taking notes, and we're just like taking different shots of different beers. And like, I'll tell you, like an hour later, I was hammered. I was like, whoa. And I was like, I think I like
hit the wall.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
I pointed at one, and it was awesome. It turned out to be kind of this like juicy, hazy kind of beer.
Amazing.
And so, yeah, he then took that and obviously created a
specialized
recipe.
Yeah.
He didn't. That's not what they do. They don't just mix beers together and then give it to us and put it in a can or something. I mean, it's pretty interesting. And yeah, now that's called the Millstone Pale Ale.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to try it. You better buckle up, Russ.
I know. I was just sitting here thinking, when is your the Tuscan experience? When is that ending, or how long is that going to be going on?
It goes through the 15th, and then he's got to head back. So just after Valentine's, they're doing a special Tuscan Valentine's menu for the 13th, 14th, 15th, and then he takes off. But for our new restaurant at the Birdwood Mansion, our GM already has a French chef coming over she's got somebody from Japan. She says it's a omakase menu, and then we've got our executive chef is from Barbados, so he's going to do a stint where he's actually doing island cuisine.
That's wonderful.
Joe's just gonna come and move in. Just
I
so
am.
you know,
No
I was
kidding.
like,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you have room, just for me to just stay.
We do, Joe. Anytime. We've got two guest rooms.
You know
just
what?
For you.
You better be careful what you say.
Just book her for one
Joe
day at a time because, yeah.
No, 2 days.
I'm just saying, 2 days might be too many.
No, I'll come in for a weekend, and I'm fun, Ross. I'm really fun. We'll go.
You should join Athena. She's coming this weekend. We're stoked to have her. We haven't planned anything, but
I'm
it's
going.
That's okay.
basketball games.
We can wing it. I gotta see my kids. I gotta see my niece
I can't
and
wait
nephew.
to meet your kids. Actually, I just look at you and I'm like,
They're
oh my
awesome.
gosh.
They are awesome.
I know. I bet.
Yeah, we're going to have to stay up on what's going on because there's a place in Chicago I go to, I've talked about before, entitled Supper Club. And they do like 5-star, 5-course meal with whiskey pairings. And I just got the invite for February. And they're doing Uncle Nearest.
Oh.
So that falls in line with the Black History Month. And
Yep.
But I don't know if I'm going to make that one or not. Maybe in
cool
Atlanta.
one.
During that one, but that's one.
We did one bourbon dinner here, and I think we overdid it. The 45 people were. I'm not sure I think they army crawled out of the restaurant.
Oh, no.
I'm not
That's
really sure.
fantastic.
You had the limos all set up for them, right?
Well, 95% of them were staying at the resort,
good.
which is.
That's
definitely the way
helpful.
to go. You know,
go.
get to the elevator and then you can make it to your room, kind of thing.
Ryan just did a bourbon tasting yesterday with a group here in Grand Rapids that he encountered.
Yeah, Thea and I were at Butcher's Union. This was around Christmas time.
Yeah.
And went for just a quick
Yeah.
appetizer. And I met this doctor and his wife, and they invited us to a wine tasting for Rishi's. And Thea had to leave, so I went by myself. And then while I was there, and I'm not a big wine person, but they had like 200 and some bottles to try. So we didn't try all of them, but I tried quite a few. And then I met a group of guys that were all into bourbon. So we all hung out after the wine tasting, and
All alcoholics hang out together.
I know
do.
that's what happens.
Whether it's at a bar or a tasting or a resort.
So during that, they had let me know that they do bourbon tastings once a month, or try to do one once a month. So last night was the first one. What I learned from that, though, is don't pregame before you go to the bourbon tasting.
That makes sense, buddy. Makes sense.
But, dry
Lesson
January
learned.
was over, and like Thea said, I made up for January
Oh my God.
one day.
And then some. And then somebody.
But they were small pours, but I think last night it was 16 different tastings.
Wow.
Yeah. Russ is like 3
The small
tops.
pours are the problem.
Yeah.
They are.
They mess with your mind. You're like, oh, that's not a lot.
Yeah.
We learned that at
Keep
Bourbon
going,
Fest.
And then
Shots.
an hour later, you're like,
Well, that was Bourbon Fest we had done the first year, and every year we always get in trouble. But
That's why we have a ride set up.
yes, drink
So at
responsibly.
least we're
Yep.
still legally
but
in trouble.
We got VIP for that one, and it was like half-ounce pours, but shit, we got 30. I think our thing included 30 pours. But
And we were sharing, so who knew? I don't know if I had 30 pours, if I had like 30 plus 10 because Joe was sharing and Ryan was sharing. And
I mean, you burned through the tickets, though, at
Yeah, you
in the VIP room, because those are all 6 to
yeah,
10, or if you get Pappy, it's like 30
we decided year 2 to prioritize the VIP room so we could like be in more control.
So we're skipping Bourbon Fest this year, though. We're going to Whiskey Fest.
Yeah.
Again, we did that. Thea and I did that last year,
Yeah.
and it was good. It was different and a little more spread out, so it wasn't as crammed in the 1 or 2 rooms. But I guess Bourbon Fest, they moved
They did.
to a different
New
location.
location downtown. Russ, I can't wait for
should
you to
see
come
if
home.
they,
Yeah, I can't
should
wait for
see
you to
if
come
they
home
would let-
either, Russ. that you get your butt back here.
I'm already working on a things to take Russ to list, and some of which you can bring your kids.
Yeah.
Most of which you should just bring Lynn's.
Yeah.
You should see if they would let you pop a table and do your podcast in the festival. I mean, that would be interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
We've talked about it. Like, how cool would that be?
Yeah, and we got a lot of really cool, restaurants that have said that we could. So we just need to do it.
Yeah. It's the travel piece and getting Joe to commit to dates is the other problem.
Like,
Joe, come on.
Joe travels a lot.
Joe's doing better.
I am getting better.
But now that we've got you with our first remote setup, I've got this down now. I know how we can do this remote, even if Joe's not around. Get a TV put up so we can see her pretty face.
Oh, I love it. I'm pushing up my hair.
So all of this, all this like changing landscape. Have you seen anything like in your 20 years that's like significantly noticeable about like hospitality? Like, is it just the places you've been to that meet different guest needs, or is it like some sort of general thing? Like guests like to be more healthy, or guests like to be more active when they're staying at a resort,
or pampered.
Pampered, right? Is there anything like significant you've noticed in 20 years that has like kind of been like, wow, I didn't see that coming?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you pretty? You might just be good at anticipating everything, because I think it's really cool how you've like brought all of these new things to your resort, like just based on other experiences, like the Winter Wonder sort of experience. And is it just?
No, I think it's interesting. Like, I think we thought COVID was gonna like dramatically change everything, right? And it did for a period of time, right? Like, there was hot things and there was outdoor dining was like the craze, and like we're like, oh, we gotta get cocktails to go for restaurants, otherwise they're gonna die, here. And like,
survival.
So we passed legislation and all these different things, and it was like, But like in our world, like luxury hospitality, I mean, we went back to like things that we thought, oh man, we're gonna have a little more time. Like, oh, maybe we don't need to do daily housekeeping every day because people don't want people in their rooms. Well, in luxury hospitality,
they want it.
People want their shit cleaned right away. They want their stuff. You're paying $300-$400, whatever it is. They're like, they want their mattress flipped. They want their linens. I mean, they want all of it, right? Like, they want it all, and they didn't care if they could possibly get sick. They were like, give me my service, full service right away. And so it was interesting, right? Like, so we thought some things would change for us. And it was like right back to it, right? Personalize this, do all those things. I think some trends that I've seen emerge over the last 10 plus years, or maybe even 20 plus years, I think this interesting explosion of plant-based stuff. An alternative stuff. I say stuff. I mean,
I know what you mean. Yeah,
we get it.
You all know what I mean.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
like
we get you.
Plant-based proteins, I guess you could say it, right? Or even infused cocktails and all of that. Like, I would have never expected oat milk this or jackfruit this. Like,
yeah.
And if you don't know what jackfruit, like, some people just don't even know what that is. Like, jackfruit is this weird tropical tree fruit that's grown in Asia, and it belongs to the same plant family as like figs and mulberries. Well, they turn that stuff into pulled pork, and people are like, oh, it tastes just like pork. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. That's
no, it doesn't.
Like,
Sarah does it. It does. Sarah can do it.
I don't know.
If you put enough barbecue sauce on it, I'm sure.
Sarah made meat out of like freaking flour. I'm not even kidding you. Seitan. Have you heard of that one? Or Satan? However,
probably Satan, I'm guessing.
It's seriously spelled just like Satan, but it's seitan. Like, you take this like flour and you like rinse out all of the starch out of it, and you can turn it into a meat, like, and then you just soak it in like a flavor. It's not a meat, obviously, but
Bullshit.
a fake meat.
Yeah, I don't want any part of it.
That's a really good point. Like some of the
like those different things,
Yeah.
right? The zero proof stuff, you know, like I don't know, and maybe it's just me, but I'm like, why do you drink? Why would you sit there and order a $10 mocktail?
Yeah,
100%.
Get a glass of juice for $2.
You know, and I look at the mocktails and I'm like, can you put vodka in that? Can you put this in that? I'm like, it sounds really good, but can you add something to that? They're like, of course. So yeah, I'm naughty with mocktails.
Well, my thing was like when they came out with the Impossible Burger at Burger King, right? It's like I tried it.
It's good.
It was good. It tasted almost like a Whopper. But if I'm going to have 800 calories of Impossible Burger, I want freaking meat. Like 100%. I'm not eating some plant-based shit that takes as much time to process. And, you know,
I like it.
You see a lot of the things online and like documentaries about processed food. And it's like, you don't think that stuff is processed as any other thing you're eating when they get to that point? But hey, who am I to judge? If they like it, they eat it. So.
Hey, Russ, I have a question. So, there has been just such a huge surge in bourbon popularity, kind of over the last decade. How do you think the craze is slowing down and pivoting in a different direction, or what's your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting because I read there was a Wall Street Journal article that came out about that not too long ago. And I was like, we just went all in on it, right? Like we just did our own custom bourbon and it was like, oh, shoot, like
red flag.
We committed to 246 bottles, like, are we going to have this inventory for 5 years or what are we getting ourselves into? And so, I had a conversation with our food and beverage director. It's like, what do you think about this article? And we both kind of just chatted back and forth. And I think we both agreed. It's like, okay, yes, since COVID, there was this crazy boom on just spirits in general, but especially bourbons. I think over the last 5+ years, maybe 10 years. But I think we said no. While that incredible growth may level off some, bourbon, we don't believe bourbon's going anywhere anytime soon. I think it's just become such an integral part of American spirit culture that, again, while it was hot for the last 10 years, our team and many other people I've talked to, I just was in Richmond, the state capital for Virginia, this past year, talking to tons of hospitality people and asking them questions about things like this. And I said, I think there's just this appetite for high quality, well-aged expressions, right? Like a lot of the really good bourbons, the cheap crap that people keep putting out. I think that stuff will come out, go fly, and then probably take off and go back to its grave, hopefully. But I think the really quality stuff, that's not, that's here to stay.
One thing
that's great.
Without getting political, I am getting political now.
You are.
One thing that I'm curious to see is once the tariffs hit, Canada's already in the past when things hit them, bourbon was like American whiskey was the first thing that got tariffed. And I'm curious how the availability of that changes if Canada, Mexico put tariffs on, American whiskey. Maybe now we can get more Blantons or whatever everybody's looking for. I don't know. I'm curious to see how that plays out.
What was it?
Or at more reasonable prices, right? Because the prices of stuff is just
it's crazy.
Nuts,
it's insane.
I was just at a beverage store here locally, and I was shocked to find out what is that? I sent you guys a picture of the little shot pour, and the place Mega Bev was limiting. You could only buy 2 of these.
Oh, Buffalo Trace.
Buffalo Trace.
Yeah. Daily drinker.
That has become here in Michigan and allocated basically, and I was getting some nitty gritty on, how that store and how allocation I don't get it. That's an episode for a future day, but for 2, you can only get 2 little shots of that. And I'm like, we could
Total Wine's only
get
one.
6 bottles a year ago, easy peasy.
Wild.
I know, but I have my source. We have our Buffalo Trace source that
Thank God.
I was talking to a guy at Total Wine the other day, and he's like, I can't find Buffalo Trace. I was like, well, sorry about your luck. I'm not going to tell him where I get it at, but it's like I can get it all day long at,
Nope, shut up.
At our place.
At our place.
Yeah.
But that's another conversation down the road too, is like how tightly guarded, people are on the Facebook groups and stuff about giving out their locations. It's like they start posting pictures of, hey, I got this, I got that, I got a George T. Stagg, and everybody's, where'd you get it? Silence. It's like, like he's going to tell you where he just picked this up from his local store.
I'm telling you, it's a hunting game.
It is. It is.
Hunters don't tell other hunters where their best sweet spots are.
But a lot of that stuff, though, like Heaven Hill, we couldn't get forever. Now that's on the shelf. Your Henry McKenna, Meyer has that on the shelf now, and our other location has it on the shelf.
Here's a fun story. So I just want
Meyer.
You missed Meyer, right?
50 acres, Russ. Myers.
Meyer has their own
50 acres.
30 acres,
Joe.
my friend.
It's not so thrifty anymore.
dangerous.
Can I
I'm
tell
taking
you?
you back, my friend.
Yeah.
But they have their own stewards that go out and just do barrel picks.
Yeah.
And like a whole team that does that.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
So Rockford Meyer, Cascade.
Bougie.
They get, the bougie
Bougie
Meyers have
Bougie.
store picks. Our Meyer doesn't get shit over here.
That's because they get robbed.
Russ is laughing at you. I just want you to know.
The Cascade Meyer. That's the one I worked across from. At
That's
the,
right.
Yep.
Country Inn. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great Meyer.
It's a great Meyer. Meyer 50 acres.
I'm going to tell you, Meyer does not have the best prices anymore. I was at a Target just looking at like a 12-pack of soda. And, pop if you're in Michigan, soda if you're otherwise.
Soda.
Meyer actually
Coke.
has the higher regular price.
No, Russ. No.
Meyer,
No.
Everything's Coke,
Meyer
Joe.
used to be the
Everything's
bargain.
I know.
Russ is becoming acclimated to
Yes,
the South.
he is. You know what? I have to come down there and save you. I'm grabbing your sister. I'm taking Ryan, and we're coming down to do an intervention.
We got to steal Fred.
Oh my God! I'll grab your dad. I love Fred.
Good luck. Good luck.
I'm gonna work on him.
That for a while.
We'll just give him something to sleep it over. Sleep it
I'll
off.
put him in first class. I'll do him as a companion ticket, and he can sit with me.
All right. Well, it looks like we are. Russ, thank you so much for jumping on. I think we are at time. We got a couple of things to get off to, and we appreciate you being here with us. So,
Thank you.
Well, thanks again, Russ. And we're going to have to continue this conversation another
Heck yeah,
time.
we are.
yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
Get into some more dirt and grit stories outside of the hospitality industry. But thanks again. You can check us out online at It Starts With Whiskey, Rye Guy Whiskey GR.
I'm Whiskey Thief.
And I'm Joe the Experience.
Thanks again, and we'll talk to y'all later. See you next time.
Oh my God, Russ! Thank you so much for being here, man. That was fun.
Oh, it's awesome.
That was fun. That was fun. You better fucking buckle up because I'm coming down. I swear to God, I'm fucking coming there. I swear to
come
God.
on.
I swear to God, I am.